So one of the best things about being rich is curating your life absolutely. And when you curate your life, by extension, you have to curate the people you spend time with. It's very difficult for you to keep the exact same people you currently spend time with and change your life. Because you either have to elevate these people along with you, many of which are not capable of elevation, or you would have to suppress certain qualities within these people, even if you believe it's for their own good, and you would be resented for it. So when you change your life, the people you spend time with has to change. But I will argue that when you become monumentally wealthy, and every single person who is tuning in right now, I believe has the potential to be extremely important and extremely wealthy. I believe in you because you're watching me, which means your mind is susceptible to my lessons. And I explain to you very openly and honestly how to win in the world, because I am a winner. A whole lot of people may not like me, but nobody can say I've lost. I have won, and these people know I have won, which is actually one of the primary reasons they pretend to dislike me. But initially, I want to explain, because people often ask me, Andrew, you grew up poor, and now you're very rich. What's it like? And I can talk about how great it is to fly private, or how great it is to have supercars, and how great it is to not have to worry about money, and to view the world as free, to have a card that always works and everything is free all the time, to not look at the prices of things ever, to order whatever you want, any car, any item of clothing, any meal, and to not even look or know the price. Well, what truthfully is the best thing about being rich is you no longer have to interact with anybody you don't want to interact with, which means you can avoid a huge percentage of the population which are not capable of improving themselves or understanding you as a person. And we're going to talk about this when I talk about energy absorption, because a lot of the poor people deserve to be poor, unfortunately. But most importantly, if you don't need other people, you can set standards that you can't when you are broke. When you are broke, you are forced to exist amongst people you don't want to exist amongst, to talk to people you do not particularly like, to work with people who do not agree with you. When you are poor, you are forced to interact. But when you become the A side of life, like me, when you're at the absolute upper echelon, you can set the world on fire and ignore them. It doesn't matter. Your money is secure, your family is secure, your life is secure. It doesn't matter how mad people get at you, and it doesn't matter that you do not interact with these people. So I have some standards for who I talk to and why. And one of those standards is in relation to strength. And I'm gonna, from a position of authority, because I don't owe you any kind of explanation, explain to you why I do not like weak people. If you're weak and you're trying to get stronger, that's forgivable. But the people who remain weak or who pretend that physical strength is not important are the worst people. You know, we live in a world now where you're supposed to ignore basic pattern recognition. They encourage you to do this. You're not allowed to identify a pattern inside of your own mind because it goes against the slave mind programming. And the slave mind programming doesn't want you to have pattern recognition. It doesn't want you to accept that if you let go of a cup, it will fall to the ground because of gravity. If I drop my phone, it's going to fall to the ground because of gravity. How do I know that? Because every single time I've let go of my phone, it fell previously. So I've used previous data to come to a conclusion on how to predict the future. And you should do this with all things in your life, although it is heavily discouraged by the matrix. So we're going to talk about what I have in my experiences from weak people, what happens when you interact with weak people, and what I would predict for the future based on my previous experiences. And I hope you can all learn something about this. I hope you can learn something and curate your circle and curate your life accordingly. The simple explanation for why I have a disdain for weak people is that they are liars. And anybody inside of your internal circle should never be a liar. You can have people who disagree with you. You can have people who perhaps do not share your worldview, but they should at least be honest, because lying is treachery. And weak people are always lying to themselves. So how can you expect them to tell you the truth? Let's analyze that again. If somebody is constantly lying to themselves, how can you expect them to be honest with you? They lie because their entire worldview and all of their self-esteem is built on a lie. Lies are all they know. Weak people will pretend that strength is not important. This is a huge leap. This takes incredible cope. They say, we don't live in the caveman days. You're right, we don't. It doesn't matter, but it does matter, and we're going to discuss why it matters. But the fact that they will bend reality to avoid them having to put in some effort is actually a huge red flag. So let's analyze this. I have a strong business partner, I have a weak business partner. Both of them don't try. Who is more honest to admit, who is more likely to be honest and admit to me they did not try? The person who understands that trying is necessary to yield results, the guy who goes to the gym every day, or the person who believes that you don't really need to try because it's not important. These people are fundamentally dishonest. When I see somebody who is not strong and not interested in getting strong, I know that their word doesn't mean anything because they've been lying to themselves their entire life. So I don't trust them. Another reason I do not trust them: the forces which are externally applied by your enemies, by the matrix, and by life. Meaning they are likely to betray you. If your friend is strong and he is dragged into a police interview, he is less likely to bend, break, or sell you out than if he was weak, because a weak person is afraid of persecution. A weak person is afraid of consequences. They are afraid of going to jail. So a weak person is more likely to bend and break in the scenario in which they have to put their own personal liberty on the line to defend you, as opposed to a strong person. A strong person knows they can handle. They understand that being honorable will be rewarded karmically by God, and they can handle the consequences of doing that. If you can't handle the consequences of being honorable, how can you ever be expected to act honorably? So weak people are great when everything is great, but they are useless when times get hard. And ask yourself, do you want friends who are great when things are great, or do you want friends who are there when times are hard? If your life's already going well and everything's going great, what do you need them for? You want to go drinking? You want to party? You want to laugh? You want to be a bunch of clowns and achieve very little? Because when times are going well, when everything is perfect, that's when you enjoy the hedonistic side of life. You don't grow as a person. Often you don't achieve so much. You're only achieving and growing as a person during the most difficult times in your life. When things are going perfectly, that's when it's all just a clown show. Do you want friends who are capable clowns but are completely useless in a war? If you do, then perhaps you are that type of person, because birds of a feather flock together. If you're the kind of person who thinks it's okay to have friends which are only useful during the best times of your life for entertainment and provide no utility during the worst times in your life, then perhaps you are one of those types of people. I believe that my circle should be most useful to me and most loyal to me when the chips are down. When everything's going well, it's private jets, it's champagne, it's pretty girls, it's penthouses, it's Bugattis. That's great. I can do that by myself. When I need help is when I need friends. So I enjoy spending the good times with my friends because I know they would be there in the bad times. And you can't rely on weak people, because even if they have the best of intentions, even if they love you with all of their heart, their love means nothing, because external pressure will make them break. It doesn't matter how much they love you. It doesn't matter what their intention is. It doesn't matter what they promise. It doesn't matter what they say. All that matters is all of that will go out the window once they break. because they are weak. If a weak man says to you, I got your back 100%, bro, he may mean it when he says it. He will convince you because he is not lying. But he is incapable of resisting pressure. So all of those words go out the window once he breaks. So when a weak person says something to you, you can ignore it. It's worth nothing. Every word that comes out of a weak person's mouth is a lie because they've spent their entire life lying to themselves, and by extension, they're going to lie to you. Another reason I don't like weak people is they're broadcasting to the world that they lack discipline, because the great thing about strength is that it's actually very easy to achieve. You don't need any fancy program. You don't need any fancy lesson. You need to pick something up and put it down over and over until you project strength. There's endless free YouTube videos. If you need more information, it exists. But this I need information, this feigned ignorance, is only an excuse for laziness and cowardice. Truthfully, anybody knows what it takes to get strong. So let's analyze as professionals. If everybody understands what it takes to get strong, and they understand that they are viewed differently for being strong, and that they are viewed in a positive light for being strong, and still refuses to become strong, they are telling you that they lack dedication, they lack the motivation required to do hard things, and that when the going gets tough, they quit. That's what they are saying to you, and you can instantly see it, whether they want to say it or not. That's what they broadcast permanently. It doesn't matter if it's a business discussion. It doesn't matter if it's a fitness discussion. It doesn't matter. When you see a big, strong man, you know he has at least the qualities of dedication. You know he is prepared to push past a certain point where most people would quit. You know he's the kind of person who understands how important it is to be seen in a certain way, so they're protective of their reputation, that they're proud of themselves. If I was obese, saying the exact same things I was saying to you, you wouldn't listen. You are here because you know I understand the tenets of strength, and I understand the tenets of discipline. So these are people who are prepared to broadcast to the world that they lack discipline purely because they are so monumentally lazy, or they are so afraid of difficulty that they would rather suffer that than fix the problem. What does that tell you about a potential business collaboration? What does that tell you about an FBI interrogation? What does that tell you about a nightclub combative situation? It tells you that these people are not going to be there when the going gets tough, because everybody knows how to fix it. Strength is an important outward broadcast for every single man. And anybody who is weak has accepted how they are viewed because they are so monumentally lazy that they're not prepared to do what it takes. And they also try and cope for that and cover that up by lying to themselves. And if they are dishonest with themselves, they are going to be permanently dishonest with you. And that is why, once I curated my life to look for people around me who valued, coveted, worked towards strength, a lot of the treachery has disappeared. When I was in jail, nobody in my circle betrayed me. Nobody. Which is actually very rare. When a man gets arrested and 50 of his people are dragged into rooms and threatened with jail, someone usually bends and breaks. The baddest of the bad people, they find a rat. With me, they couldn't find a single rat. Because I have people around me I can trust. Which is also, because it's not just physical strength, we're also talking about mental strength. And I'm going to say something which is highly controversial. I know that's unlike me, but this is very important. If you have somebody in your circle that is struggling with an addiction, as a good friend, perhaps you can try and help them. But if they continue to struggle with this addiction, if their mind is so weak that they are controlled by this substance, whatever it is, will they sell you out for this substance sooner or later? Why are you trying to help this person and have this monumental liability near you? I say depression isn't real because I believe that. I don't believe depression is real because by believing in it, you give it power. If you say depression is a real thing, you can become depressed. Much like a ghost. If you're afraid of ghosts, you're afraid to be in a forest alone at night. If you don't believe in ghosts, you're not afraid to be in the forest because there's nothing to fear. I don't believe in depression. And I've had a more difficult life than all of the people I've ever met who told me they were depressed. Which has once again confirmed to me that depression is not real. And you cannot change my mind because I will not adhere to a mindset which weakens me. So I don't want to listen to people who are sad about how the world works. So depressed people can't convince me that it's real. These are weak people. If I had somebody near me who was depressed, could I trust them? Could I trust them if things got hard? Could I trust them with money? If somebody is so depressed that they refuse to get up and do the right things for their own life, do you think they're going to do the right things for me and my life and our mission? Can you trust somebody who cannot control their own mind? There are people out there which are so mentally weak, they will think of a thought, and that thought will destroy them. They will have a thought that they create in their own mind, themselves. It's in their head. And instead of turning it off or fixing it, they will allow it to fester to the point where their body and their life degrades, and they will be defeated by their own thought. Can you trust somebody who is that weak? When somebody near me says they're depressed, they have about a day to snap out of it. Because if there's someone around me who is depressed, I don't trust them anymore. Why would I want friends who aren't excited to stay alive? I mean, you're depressed. You want to jump off a building. What good are you to me? What good are you in a combat situation? You're ready to die anyway. You've already given up. I don't need those people, and I don't want those people. And by curating your life to only have strong people in it, not only do you remove many attack vectors, because I want to make this clear, on a long enough time frame, weakness will betray you. Every single time I have ever been too gracious to a weak person, I was betrayed. Just like I said, if I drop this phone, I know it will fall. If you are friends with somebody weak, they will betray you. And it doesn't matter what they have a weakness for. If they have a weakness for gambling, they will steal your money. If they have a weakness for women, they'll try and sleep with your ex. If they have a weakness because they're depressed, they're going to externally blame you and blame the entire world for their own lifestyle choices. If they have a physical weakness, then you cannot rely on them in a police interrogation or a combat situation. The easiest way to identify if somebody is going to betray you or not is simply based on, are they strong or weak? This can also be extrapolated out to intention. So let's pretend you had two friends. One was big and strong, one was small and weak. And both of them decided, for whatever reason, to betray or subvert you. The big strong man would be obvious about his intention and use his strength and power, because that's one of his moves. Inside of his poker deck, he has the, I'm big and strong, this is what I'm going to do, get over it. The weak man doesn't have that. So the weak man can only resort to treachery, to sneaky behavior, to hidden shadow intentions. Big, strong men can be honest because big, strong men are unafraid. So if I had a friend, I didn't want to be their friend anymore, I could sit and say, I don't want to be your friend anymore. Why? Because you're depressed and I don't trust you. Well, are you betraying me? You're not helping me with my depression? No, I am not. Please leave my house. I'll say it straight to your face. A weak person won't do that. A weak person will hide, lie, make up excuses. What is worse? If I told you that a tiger was going to attack you, would you rather see the tiger coming, even if it's big and strong, or for it to jump on your neck from behind as you go for a nice stroll out of the bushes? in which scenario do you stand a better chance, irregardless of the strength of the tiger? The thing that hurts you most is the thing you don't see coming. It's the same in boxing. It's not the hardest punch that knocks you out. It's the punch you don't see. Always has been, always will be. So weak people can never be honest because they don't have the capabilities to face the consequences of their own actions or the consequences of your reprisals. The only thing they can do is be sneaky. And when you only have one move on the chessboard, guess which move you're going to make. If you have a poker hand and you only have threes in the deck, you're going to play the threes. That's all you've got. Weak people only have sneaky subversion. That's all they've got. So they'll talk to your ex behind your back. They'll steal a little bit here. And when you confront them, they'll lie because they're afraid of you and your power. No, it wasn't like that. No. That's why you have to stay away from weak people.
Get yourself the best merch in the game and show your support to Team Inspilligence. If you're inspired, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe for more stories of leaders changing the world. And as always, stay inspilligent and keep fighting for your dreams.